What's going on, fellas? I mean, you guys got a big week ahead. You guys dropping videos, making me cry with all the memories and shit, man. What's up?
Listen, when you're a legend like we are, you can 15 years in the game this week. So we've been celebrating that, looking back at a very long and a good solid career that we've built.
No, I love it, man. Because for me, when I first the blog era of hip hop that everyone loves so much, the blog era. This is I love that era of hip hop. Really made me who I am today. And you guys are kind of providing the comedy relief for all that shit. So to just be friends, I'm oh shit, this is dope. Just not a full circle moment, but just a moment where oh okay, I'm here. Yeah. I wish you guys were still doing the skits. I want to be in one. Can we do one? Can we just do one for one time's sake?
Yo, we do have ideas for sketches, and it's funny. Jeff and I will walk around New York City. We've been doing this for 15 years, and when I say doing this, I mean walking around New York City, just we're remarking on things, commenting on things. It's funny that you mentioned the I Love the '90s stuff, because that's what we do with or without cameras. We just comment on stuff. We feel like we have a good perspective, and we tell stories. But sketches are always in our heart. We talk about that. We call ourselves hip hop sketch comedians still to this day. And I think that the sketches are not over. I think that we have, ideas on different ways to elevate it and do cool things as we move forward.
Yeah. And again, it's resonated so much throughout the culture. And it's one of my most earliest memories of being hashtag internet rap fan back in the early 2000s was, what I'm saying? Where are you guys?
Well, thank you. It's funny when we think about, and we've been doing a lot of thinking as we've dug through all of our archives. And when I say all of our archives, all the hard drives, all the emails, Jeff literally went on a 4-hour sojourn, right, to Coney Island to buy a $30 VCR last week.
Yeah, I met a 70-year-old shirtless Ukrainian man who was in fantastic shape. So I'm not even friend he was shirtless. No, he was in fantastic shape. But yeah, I bought a $30 VCR off him. He threw in a double VHS copy of Ben-Hur, but it was which we haven't watched yet. I've never seen Ben-Hur. Have you guys seen Ben-Hur?
Oh, listen, we have a VHS player and 2 cassette tapes. So.
We just love Ben-Hur out in Virginia, Norfolk, Virginia.
We love it. I know you want to talk about Better Call Saul, but we can talk about Ben-Hur for the next 3 hours.
We got to get to Saul later on the show, man. I really want to tap in.
But we've been going through all the archives, and we watch all these old videos, whether it's VHS, whether it's mini DV, whether it's the stuff on the hard drives or whatever.
Flip cam.
You go back and you find this stuff, and it's such an important time, such a transitional period. And it meant the world to us that our content could be seen by an audience that appreciated it, because the truth of the matter is 15 years ago, 2007, Jeff and I could be making, comments about what's going on in hip hop to each other. And that's as far as it could have gone. But what the internet provided, what places like Nah Right and Two Dope Boys and Misinfo and on, all those sites gave us was an audience of people who were so devoted and equally interested in reading Elliot Wilson's, editor's letters, or knowing what's going on between Game and G Unit, or all the things that we were all interested in. We had something to say, and we were thrilled that we were welcomed into these circles the way we were, and that 15 years later, we're on a call like this with like-minded people who still get it.
No, and again, it's a me and Josh were talking about this off mic right before. It was it's crazy to be on the other side of this again and be oh yeah, we're talking to It's the Real. And when people say people saw us post up the flyer and stuff like that, they were oh wow, this is what I wanted to hear. It's is it still weird to you guys to be on the other side of the mic sometimes and just be on something like this with us?
Yeah, I mean somebody hit me up today, a friend who said how does it feel to be OGs in the game? And I was well, I felt pretty good until you called me an OG. But I think that it's crazy to be thought of as more than you think of yourself sometimes. Mm-hmm. I because you guys see like the work that we put out, but you don't see the harder conversations and like the quieter moments and like all of that stuff. And so it's weird that people out there are like, oh, you're doing something important when I see 24 hours of unimportant stuff.
And I don't know if you guys go through this as well, but it's always been something where like Jeff and I, we're front facing, we present all of our stuff. It's like for almost 15 years, we were putting out weekly content, right? I mean, like the last 2 years, we've been like quiet about the work that we've been doing behind the scenes. But like when you're putting stuff out there on a regular basis, people assume, and that's part of it is the way that we present it, is that everything's fine, right? Like you don't show them the downs. You don't show them the mistakes that you make. You don't show them the times that people like promise you something and don't deliver. You don't show them, the times that you're not making money, like all these things. And it was important to us this week when we're dropping these videos every day as we have on social media. It's important to us to show that like this 15-year journey that we've been on has not only been the cool stuff that people have seen and we've presented, but like real stuff. Like we sold the TV show to MTV in 2015 and we get into why it never got made. Or, we get into the fact that we lost our dad. And I don't know, we've talked about it on our podcast and, we've shared like, conversations about loss with certain people on the podcast. But like, there's a lot of people out there who may know us from one thing or another, but don't know the real life stuff that we've been through and the way that we've carried ourselves both in good times and bad. And that was super important to us to like give a fuller picture this week of what it takes to remain relevant and for us to get along for all this time and to still put out content in a regular basis.
Yo, absolutely. Like even on my end, I've been making content almost 10 years now, making podcasts and all that stuff. I still forget to press record when we do this show. So like I still forget some things like that. I think like the biggest thing.
Is this being recorded?
No, it's. But I mean, like Josh, like you are now like I say like one of my biggest victories is goading Josh into becoming a content creator or a cash creator, as he calls himself.
Yeah.
Like, is that something that you see where it's like, oh man, I see how this is on the other side now?
No, I feel it on the other side too, because I'm like, damn, like just being consistent, showing up every week, and like making sure I'm just doing what I'm supposed to be doing. But I'm glad you guys kind of touched on that, because like people don't see the other side, and I think that's something that the content creators of the world should show. I feel so funny saying that word, content creators, but I think I don't know why. It's just such a funny term. It feels like I should be doing a TikTok dance when I say it.
Yeah,
but
I have sorry, not to cut you off, but I have such an issue with content creator because I feel like it makes it feel so cheap. Like it feels like the work that you put in is just like gristle for the mill. It's just like. And so like I've never identified as a content creator, and I don't think that you guys should either. I think that we should all aspire to be something more specific and something better than just like, hey, we're making slop for people to fucking
shuffling it over.
Yeah.
Because and again, like content creator obviously has like a negative connotation that people have kind of like they've given that to like assholes, right? They've given it to like the Jake and Logan Pauls of our era and stuff like that. And it's like, it's not really all that. There's a bunch of hustle that goes along with it. It's like, it's getting this the material that we use to actually record, the mics and stuff like that. And it was like, even when I was telling Josh, oh yeah, we're gonna need an XLR mic, we're gonna need all this stuff, I was like, I hope I'm not like scaring him away from this before he even starts.
For me, it's just a part of doing it. It's the tools to doing the job. And that's, but the other side that I really think, what you guys are showcasing now currently with the show, and just what you guys have always done, is just like, people need to see behind that curtain and not see that this is like, it's not all fun and games all the time. It's a serious things happen in life. Like, ain't shit funny. Yeah. It's like we laugh at the pain, but there's actually something going on behind it. And we want to, keep a straight face for you guys.
When we were a few years ago, we went down to Atlanta and we wanted to get a bunch of interviews done down there. And yeah, I know you guys know, maybe some people in the audience know, at the end of the year, we would do this thing called 12 Days of Podcast. So for the 12 days of Christmas leading up to Christmas Day, when a lot of other people were on vacations or traveling or just off, we would fill that void, and we would provide, new podcasts every day, hit you with 12 episodes in 12 days. So we wanted to keep to that. We were down in Atlanta, and one of the recordings that we did was with young baby Tate, and we were super excited about her. She's like all personality. We knew we would get along famously, and we had an amazing interview. We go back to New York, and we had recorded at a very famous studio down there.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not going to name it, but like,
it rhymes with BlkPrint.
and you walk around, you see all the plaques, you hear all the stories, and you know who's been in recorded in what room and whatever. And so you're dealing with professionals here. Meanwhile, we go back to New York, they send the files, and I sound fine, and Tate sounds fine, and Jeff, no joke, sounds like he's underwater. And we're just like, panicking, right? Because, we got deadlines, and you send this to you send it to all the engineers, right? The best engineers that you could find. And everyone's like always willing to help. But like when you record something poorly to begin with, there's not much saving it a lot of times. Yeah. So what we did was we went up to our best friend Greg's studio back in our hometown, 30 minutes north of here. And we put Jeff in the booth. And we had him re-record everything. When I'm saying everything, I mean the laughs. I mean, like the reactions.
Hold on. This is so funny because the producer of our very podcast, MC, he's on this right now. He did the exact same thing. And I thought he was the craziest fucking person I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, this is great.
Well, I mean, don't take that away from MC. Like, he is the craziest person.
But it's so over the top, and we never talked about it, and no one would know, right? Except for us.
Oh, and no one did know. I don't even remember what episode it was. MC, do you remember what episode that was?
It had to be at least like episode 2, and I felt like such a jackass because as I was doing like the real live like laughter and things like that, I'm trying to match the laughter and make sure it's right, like and make it sound nice. Oh, it was horrible.
Jeff, so we're, this is a lengthy process, and we had Jeff in there for hours because we're like, no, you need to laugh more naturally. And he got so sick of us. It's over the top, and no one sees it, no one realizes it. But like, you know what? At the end of the day, it made us feel good, and you put out a better product. And I think that's the bottom line.
You guys are right. Like, maybe we should pray for content creators. Like, it is a very tough life. So.
well, I mean, just us. You know what I'm saying? Not anybody else. Just us. Like, so like, even with all of these things, like, you guys obviously like 15 years in the game. Like, what do you guys like? Did you guys appreciate more like now being OGs, or did you guys love like the beginning stages of it? Like when you guys were making those mistakes and stuff like that. Like, what do you kind of cherish the most in these 15 years?
Well, I do love my current schedule, which like I can nap every day, which is like amazing.
It's called the siesta.
But like those early days, it just felt so, you were just running off adrenaline like all the time. Like I remember there was a sense of wonder that I don't necessarily have now. Like I think I'm a bit like, even last night we went to a Wiz Khalifa show at Barclays, Wiz and Logic. And we went there and we were treated to some nice seats, but then like just the fact that 3 different people gave us backstage passes, and like we were able to have that sort of access that like we could never have dreamed of as but like it's fucking dope. Like it's a very cool thing to just be like, oh, okay, cool. Like I'll just go, and then like to have like a moment where we ran into some friends backstage, and that was awesome. But like when we were coming up, I remember we would walk just like hundreds of blocks because we couldn't afford the subway. And we would just like be like, it would be like 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning. And we would just be looking up at these tall buildings in New York City and just being like, this is incredible. So, I mean, like, I do miss that feeling of just like, of awestruckness, which I don't get anymore. And I do enjoy the perks of, the life that we've built now, but I do miss that wonder.
Well, I think there's a reality to the struggles and how you overcome them. So, we put out a video today where we talked about the years 2013 to 2015. And during that time, if a place like SOBs wasn't interested in having us perform on their stage, we were like, all right, cool, we'll go around it, right? It's that blog era mentality where it's like, there's a gatekeeper, well, I'm going to find my own way. And we went to the Gansevoort Hotel, which is not, as you guys know, a traditional venue, but they built a stage for us. We went to great lengths to make this a dope show. We brought in Bun B, Smoke DZA, Bridget Kelly, DJ Clark Kent, and on, all these people, Joel Ortiz, Teray. We had Jin, the MC there. Like, we really went to the extremes to make this a cool and fun and different type of show. And there were so many struggles. I was talking about this today with Greg, our best friend, who was our hype man that night and in general produced all our music. And I was like, man, when you look at the video today, and maybe the Yolono tour, You Only Live One Night Only, which was 2 shows in one night.
So
it was the tour. If you look at that, like, whatever, 30 seconds, 45 seconds, maybe a minute worth of footage in that video today, it looks great. And you don't remember all the bullshit you went through. You don't realize all the equipment that we had to haul up ourselves because we couldn't hire anybody, right? So it's like, I appreciate now that we did that stuff, but I really appreciate being in a position now where we can look back and be like, oh, that was something, and I can remember the good parts more than anything.
Yeah, because I mean, like, it really is a sense of, like, again, like the hustle mentality I said earlier. Like, you had to really, like, force your way in. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you had to really kind of get it out the mud. And now when you're there, it's like, do you find it hard to not get, again, jaded or not get kind of complacent?
Yeah, well, no. I will say that we're the type of guys who never stay too late at the party, right? We're the type. I mean, and if you look at our career, we kept everybody wanting more. We would walk on the streets. We ran into Yams one time, and he was like, "Yo, my favorite video ever was Max B, and we need more sketches, right?" And it's same, you guys were like, "Yo, do more sketches," and I love that. Like, we didn't give so much that people were like, "Oh, I know what they did." It's like Seinfeld; he left on top, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But if you look at, like, we didn't overdo it with the podcast. We didn't overdo it with anything. We kept people wanting more, and I don't think there's a place where we got jaded, because we were always, if we were trying to book a guest, it's like, oh man, there's a million other podcasts who also are trying to book the same guests, and you don't want to be like the third podcast to get DJ Khaled in 1 week or whatever, right? Yeah. So it's like always trying to figure out the sort of the best way to present yourselves and do something and stay ahead of the curve, I think was what we always hoped to do.